All right, yo. So let's be back with another podcast. And in this podcast right here, we want to go ahead and make a part two to the whole topic we done started the other day about just the synchronization between the chemistry of black man and black woman, right? So when we talk about this type of synchronization right here, the important thing we want to know is we want to kick out all excess distractions, right? You know what I'm saying? From that gets in between this connection line, right? We want to be all in with each other. You know what I'm saying? And that means connecting on all levels, right? You know what I'm saying? And this connection should come first and before anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the connection that should come before any other type of connection, right? You know what I'm saying? Is the connection between black man and black woman, right? So when it's in terms of carving out ourselves and growing ourselves, this is what we do, right? With our masculine energy, and then synchronizing it with feminine with feminine energy, right? And this is the point that continually gets attacked before anything else, right? In terms of just anything, this be the point that gets attacked before anything else. Like spiritually, in terms of, whatever you want to call it, demons, interference, whatever you want to call it. This is always the point that gets attacked first. On all levels, in all things, it's always about the connection between, and synchronization and teamwork, chemistry between black man and black woman. And so, with that being said, we can look back even to the Garden of Eve, right? So in the Garden of Eve, what did they do? They replaced God, or they replaced, the connection between man and woman, between the connection between man and God, right? And it seemed like every time, every moment or place where the woman is supposed to be, and it's supposed to be the contribution of a woman is supposed to be involved, is replaced with God or something, right? Just the word God, right? Just G-O-D, capital G-O-D is what replaces, the placement of woman, right? So, understanding this and understanding that, the European society and even the European culture, it takes away the aspect and notion of black woman, right? In their culture, this is how they do things. In their culture is not a synchronization of man and woman, but it's a synchronization of man and other types of weird shit, right? So we can't synchronize ourselves with white culture or European culture because it destroys or contaminates our own culture, and it contaminates and destroys our own being and our own functioning, right? And our own living. It destroys our culture, right? So spiritually. So when we talk about the aspect of mental health and the aspect of just having mental health, spiritual attacks, mental attacks, things that just happen we can't control, and all this other type of stuff. For the most part, the first and most important thing to do to properly handle the situation is to remove the white culture, and remove the interference, the distraction, the interference. If you've been watching my videos and have heard the video that I've made about encoding versus decoding, or haven't heard it, I definitely go check that out, because remember, encoding versus decoding, right? Encoding is encryption, right? The person who's encrypting the message and sending it to the decoder. Then the decoder is the person that decodes the message. The interference or the the interference of this connection line is called noise. Noise is what this is. This is the interference. When you block out the noise, right, which could come from the encoder side or the decoder side or an external force, right? When you block out the noise, the communication line can run smoothly, right? This is a basic fundamental principle of life, right? Is encoding versus decoding, communication. So with that being said, lifting up or removing the interference between this connection line between black men and black women will solve our problem, or solve the problem of everything, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a teamwork thing. It's a removing the white culture, which influences the mind to think things that it shouldn't. It's removing the white culture that influences the spirit in ways and just dysfunctionizes. It's almost like a virus, you know what I'm saying, that infiltrates the spirit, and it just infiltrates, you know what I'm saying, it messes up and it dysfunctions the spiritual functioning of a person, right? You know what I'm saying? And how the mind perceives things. It's a backwards thing that does many things bad, but most importantly, it's what it does to the mind. The dysfunction it has in the mind, the way that a European culture would conceptualize spiritual things is not the same thing that of what it really is. You know what I'm saying? In an African culture. So once you remove that, you know what I'm saying, and once that European once those concepts infiltrate and start to influence the African mind, now we have a serious problem from in between European concepts, mental concepts, with an African spiritual, going, right? And this is what I believe is seriously the most serious problem in terms of what we're dealing with right here. It's white culture, or European concepts, mental concepts on top of, an African spiritual spiritual existence or spiritual flow, right, or spiritual way. So with that being said, that's the nature of this video right here that I wanted to really expand on. And it's just the removing of African, or the removal of European concepts, which is so difficult to do because when it infiltrates your brain, right, what it really does is it really contaminates. It really soils your brain, right? It soils your whole mind, because now it's like it's a European mental concept over top of, African spiritual way. And it's just like the amount of destruction that comes from that is insane. And it's something that is so hard to reverse, right? When we talk about decolonizing and deprogramming, of course, deprogramming and decolonizing from habits of, eating habits and all that other stuff. But the other most serious one, I think, is religion, and it's just a consciousness, right? White consciousness versus a black consciousness, right? So what is a white, consciousness compared to a white spirit, and like what is, the black consciousness compared to the black spirit or the African spirit, right? And it's just like when the African spirit, or the black spirit is conceptualized by a white conscious, then we have a problem that, to the point to where it's like now this, it's sabotaging the African mind and the African spirit and the African progression of the person, right? It's sabotaging the spiritual and essential growth of the African person, right? So that is what the white consciousness is doing, right? In terms of its influence on the African mind, you know what I'm saying? So it's not a matter of, white versus black or anything like that. It's a matter of literally just separating from the white consciousness, because what it's doing as the African spirit continues to flow and to progress, it's a matter of not getting infected by the white consciousness, because what it does is it sabotages the movement of the African spirit, that is within you, right? Because, you know what I'm saying? And that is the biggest sabotaging, contaminating thing, virus, sickness, that is having the most problems. So with that being said, that's my whole 2 cents on that. And I think that white consciousness is also the most sabotaging thing from that connection between the black man and the black woman and that teamwork, right? The synchronization of that teamwork, right? We'll go back to the aspect of divide and conquer. This is the most fundamental aspect of divide and conquer, spiritually and culturally, right? We have an African culture that existed that was solely on the connection between the black man and the black woman, right? Masculine energy and feminine energy, right? And the complete teamwork of both energies, right? To create, right? You know what I'm saying? For creation, right? It was the complete synchronization of both, right? It's expanded on the video that I made, just a moment ago, right? The last video I made, right? So now we have this white culture that just pops out of nowhere. And now all of a sudden with this culture, it's just man. And it's just like there's the extraction of the woman with God, and it's just man and God. And now, or it's just man and man, right? And now it's woman and woman, right? And it's just and it's almost like a perfectly conscious culture or religion, or concept that just completely sabotages the African man and African woman, or the black man and the black woman, right? So, and it's like this concept was just so perfectly made and timely just made to just, sabotage that concept of black man and black woman, right? And creation. So, with this fundamental concept, I believe balanced and back in check, I think we won't have too many problems of just, too much of anything. But, that's just my 2 cents on it, right? Right, that's just my 2 cents on it. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to conclude this little podcast video right here. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody, you know what I'm saying? Maybe my opinion, maybe it's something somebody else feels, right? Or maybe it's something somebody else needs to hear. Maybe it's something that'll liberate somebody. Who knows? Maybe not. Who knows? Hopefully so. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to conclude this video right here. That's my 2 cents on the whole matter. I feel like the black woman and the black man should try to focus on becoming more in sync with each other, right? In terms of just listening to each other, understanding each other, and appreciating each other, right? The most important thing for the black man to do and the black woman to do is to appreciate our gifts. Appreciation of what the black man has and the black man's gifts. The appreciation of the black woman's gifts and what the black woman has, right? And the complete coordination of both gifts put together, working in sync with each other to create, I feel like it would become an unstoppable force, as it should be. It would create a team. It would produce a team that was unstoppable, right? Which it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a teamwork, right? Of appreciation, right? If I can appreciate myself, and if I can be esteemed of myself and what of what I create and what I can do, and then also turn around and be just as appreciative of what the black woman brings, then I feel like, and that's what would bring about the most change and absolute completion in us. And I feel like we have to have that perspective change. The perspective change of appreciating what the black woman does and the black woman brings to the table. Appreciating what the black man brings to the table. Appreciating these things and, F everything else. I feel like we really, that's it right there. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we can just cut and dry nail at the head of it instead of beating around the bush and, trying to do all this other stuff, right? Expanding on my last video in terms of creating the facilities where black men can get together and really reinforce each other, right? Reinforce our minds, reinforce how we think, reinforce that warrior spirit in us that we love. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the women getting together, iron sharpen iron, and reinforcing themselves in their way, right? But when we get together, it's not a matter of trying to dominate the other. It's a matter of appreciating ourselves and appreciating each other and seeing how both work in coordination with each other to create. You know what I'm saying? Because we can do that. So I think that's the most important thing. As a black man, we need to stop trying to create things by ourselves all the time and understand that women have an important role and they play an important role in helping us to create. And black women need to, understand that us as black men, have an important role as, to play in creation. And it's not just, or that black men need their space to be able to create, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's not just a matter of, black men doing this. We have our own way of doing things, right? You know what I'm saying? We have our own way of doing things, and it might not line up with what you think, right? You may think we'd be going left, but really we have a roundabout way of thinking, thinking about things, right? The process is different, you know what I'm saying? You just one side of the mind, we the other, you know what I'm saying? So it's a matter of us understanding, like we said, just appreciating what we can bring to the table. I feel like, I feel like that's just it. And us as black men and us as a black women, we can get to the point to where we understand that. And just like I said before, appreciate ourselves, man. Like literally appreciate our masculine energy, like for real, and just appreciate it. Appreciate our masculine energy for real, dog, every bit of it. And then for women, appreciate our feminine energy. Like appreciating our feminine energy, appreciating both sides, right? Appreciating it first, because then that's the most important thing. And then, from that appreciation, like constant appreciation of those things, right? And the esteem of those things, then it's like, now we can really, tackle some issues, and now we can really do some things through that, through that outlook, right? But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna conclude this podcast right here. Like I said before, hopefully this is something that can reach somebody, leave a like, man, try to get this stuff out there, because I don't do this stuff for me. I do this stuff because I feel like somebody needs to hear it, right? And maybe that this is something that can touch somebody else, right? So go ahead and, man, go ahead and leave a like, leave a follow. I'm gonna keep doing these, regardless of how I feel, I'm gonna keep doing these, man, But like I said, I think the most important thing is just esteem. And it's hard sometimes to remain to keep that esteem, but we could just do that, like I said, just appreciation and of what I said, man, like just appreciation of ourselves and our masculine energy and feminine energy, I think we'll be straight. But anyway, peace, love. Let's get to it. We out.